Okay, hi. This is the summary video for our test of the Paroli betting system versus flat betting in Blackjack. We ran 7 6-deck shoes. Kept track of the number of hands in each one. Both systems shared the same hand, so it's a direct head-to-head comparison. Got my hand-drawn little thing here because it's just a little faster, easier, and I think you can read that. I can read it. Anyways, Paroli versus flat betting. First of all, flat betting's pretty obvious. You just bet the same number of chips every time. In this situation, the flat better bet a single chip, or better called a single bet unit. So if you're at a $5 table, one bet unit is $5. Or it doesn't even matter necessarily what table you're at. It's just whatever you would be choosing to bet at if you were a flat player. The Paroli Player starts with a single bet unit. On wins, he presses his bet no matter what he won. Generally, you bet one, you win one. Your next wager is 2 chips or 2 units. If you win that one, you press it again up to 4 to make your next bet 4. We did it where after 3 consecutive wins, the Paroli Player would revert back to his original base bet of 1 unit. You can do it on longer winning streaks if you choose. 3 is fairly common, so that's why we use that. Whenever Paroli would lose, he would revert back to the original base bet. On pushes, Paroli would continue to bet the same bet unit as the previous hand. So if he was betting 2 and he got a push, the bet for the next hand would remain at 2. Splits and double downs. Well, double downs, if you won, the entire winning would ride and it would count as a single consecutive win. Blackjack's same thing, the whole thing would ride. So if you bet 1, you won 1.5. Your next bet would be 2.5. Just like with double downs, if you bet 1, you double down and you win, your next bet is 4. On a push on a double down, the player would take back the extra, the double down wager, leaving the original bet the same. So let's say you bet 2, you get an 11. You double that down, so with another 2, so your total wager is 4, and whatever the hand turns out to be, you push. You would take back the 2 from the double down, and you would leave the original 2 for the next hand. It would be a bet of 2. It would not count against the consecutive wins. So you could, and what I'm saying there is, you could have win, win, push, win. That last win is your 3rd consecutive win. It doesn't go win, win, push, win, and then after that push, go back to a single bet unit. That's just how we did it. On splits, if you lost both, that's a loss, so you just go back to your original base bet. If you would win both, the whole thing would ride, just kind of like a double down. And if you won 1 and 1 lost, we would call the whole thing a push, and you would repeat your wager. So again, if you were betting 2 and you split, so you got 2 on each hand, this one loses, this one wins, it's a push. Your next bet is a bet of 2, and it doesn't count against your consecutive win streak. Now, some people, when they win blackjacks, extra chips on splits and double downs, they just take the extra winnings rather than pressing those and just kind of consider it a bonus. So let's say you had a single chip out there for blackjack. You win 1.5. Your next bet would be 2, and you would just keep the extra half a bet for yourself. Put it in your stack or whatever. You can do it however you want. And I think some people probably also, when they win double downs, count that as 2 consecutive wins. Probably similar with splits. If you won both, call that 2 consecutive wins. It's really your choice. That's a sort of a problem with the Paroli with blackjack, is that it's not really meant to be used on blackjack. It's really meant for even money games or even money wagers. But you can do it, and part of the reason I did it is because it's considered to be the opposite of the Martingale, which we already tested. And you can find the playlist for that. But right now we're talking about Paroli. So okay, so I think that those are the table rules. Oh, it was the table betting was a minimum of 1 unit and a maximum of 100. That'd be like playing at a $5 table with a $500 max. Obviously, there's no way that a flat better could hit the max because he bets the same every time. The Paroli would have a really difficult time getting there. It would require doing it the way that we did it, where you let double downs and splits and blackjacks ride or press to the next hand, and as well as some splits, probably some resplittings with some double downs. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's not very likely to hit the table max. It never happened in our sequence that we did here. So like I said, we did 7 shoes. Everybody plays for different amounts of time. You can't just run it on one shoe, as you'll see. 7 is probably a relatively decent session. It's also just an arbitrary number. I just chose 7. No good reason. Maybe because it's like 7 days a week. But if and it's also playing one-on-one against the dealer. If you're playing against with other players, the shoes are going to go faster. You're going to get fewer hands per shoe. But anyways, let's just get into it. Okay, first shoe. Shoe number 1. Got 45 hands out of that shoe. That was with about 75% penetration into 6 decks. That was the lowest number, which we got again, that we ever saw. So I think it would be safe to assume that you can expect about 45 hands per 6 deck shoe playing by yourself. Okay, maybe more, maybe less. It depends on how many splits and double downs, and that's just that doesn't count things like splits. That's just how many opening bets there were. On that day, the Paroli went up by 20.5. The flat betting went up by 3.5. If this was a $5 table, that's $102.50 or $17.50. So right off, Paroli jumps out to a big lead, up by 20, up by 17 compared to flat betting, but up $100. So that looked pretty good. Okay, but that's why we run this more than one time. Day 2, Paroli was down 1.5, but the flat betting was up by 5. So that'd be up $25. That is down $7.50 for this hand. So this is your running total here. Paroli's still up by 19, and flat betting's now up by 8.5. So even with that little small loss and this win, Paroli is still quite a ways in the lead. On the third shoe, the Paroli went up by 12, running total of 31, while the flat better lost 6.5. So his running total is down to a +2. So we got a 29 wager difference here. That's on a $5 table, that's $145 difference. Paroli is looking pretty good. He's got a couple of wins and a small loss versus 2 small wins, and a medium-sized loss. Okay? But anyway, Paroli's definitely ahead. Okay. Day 4. Paroli went down by 16. Flat betting only went down by 6. That leaves the Paroli at a running total of plus 15. And the flat better goes negative to a running total of minus 4. This, I think the difference on this day was, on this day you saw a lot of choppy action. Of win a hand, lose a hand, win a hand, lose a hand. And with a positive progressive betting system like Paroli, you are going to, it's going to eat up your chips really fast, because you're going to bet 1 unit, you're going to win, you're going to bet 2, and then you're going to lose. So ultimately, you got nothing out of that, okay? Or you're going to bet 1, you're going to win 1, you're going to press that, you're going to win again, you're going to win 2, you're going to press that, and now you got 4 out there, and you need to win this to reset back to a single bet, but you lose, you end up with nothing. So that's the danger, I think, in these positive progressive systems, and you can kind of see that. Lose 6, lose 16. That's a big difference. That's $50, or a $50 difference. That's a minus $80 day versus a minus $30 day. Moving on day 5, Paroli down. I think you can see all of that. Paroli down by 24 on that day, and the flat better down by 14. So now this puts the Paroli player into the red for his running total at minus 9, and the flat better continues down into the red, now minus 18. So flat betting is still doing worse after 5 shoes, but this was a bad day for the Paroli player. Again, that was a day with a lot of choppy back and forth action again. You know, again, these probably show up better. Bet 1, win 1. Press it, win. Press it, bet a 4, lose it, end up with nothing. Obviously, we were using the white chips, but I think the reds will show up better on that white paper. And you know, you can tell it was a bad shoe, you know, and you can tell that with this one too. This was definitely, you know, the worst shoe ever, and definitely pretty bad for Paroli. I'll make a little footnote comment there. I did not, I don't think I shuffled or mixed the cards very well on that day, and I talk about that in that video. There's the thing, even though I didn't mix them very well, they were mixed. And that, I don't really think that matters, because you will get terrible shoes, bad runs of cards. Not that, you know, that you'll experience bad shuffles, but, you know, the cards, they just, the way they get mixed, sometimes you get, you know, they just come together in a way that's, you know, not good for you. Okay, so that's, either way, that was a losing day. They were playing the same hand, so that it doesn't really matter. Okay, day 6. Stick that on there. Keep that down so you can't peek. Day 6, we saw Paroli go make a win of 1.5, so he's down running total of minus 7.5. And however, the flat better won 6. Decreasing his running bet to a minus 12. I think that shoe must have seen some choppy action, but that's how it ended up. Oh, by the way, this down here, it is the number of hands that we ran per shoe. So we had 45 on the first one, 47, 46, 45, 47, 47. Okay, so as you can see, 45 was the lowest we ever got. We got up as high as 47 a few times, 46 one time. So you can pretty much, I think, expect about 45 hands. Okay, day 7. Another bad day for Paroli. Goes down -20. Obviously a bad shoe with the flat better going down 5.5. That brings the Paroli running total to -27.5, with the flat better running total at -17.5. This is, I think, this is significant. This is almost 4 times as much of a loss. You know, here you're almost 3 times as much of a loss. Here, not quite double the loss. Here you did have a loss, but you had a win. You had a win and a loss. Both win, a larger win than here. Now, and this is why I think it's important to include the flat bet when we're doing this, because this is your benchmark. Okay, this you should see more or less that you have expected returns. The house should have an edge. Yes, we're trying to see if Paroli can defeat that house edge. We're not just seeing if it can do better than flat betting. We're trying to see if it can do better than the edge, which this doesn't quite represent. But anyways, as you can see then, at the end of the week, or the day, or however you do it, at the end of 7 shoes, Paroli's down 27.5, flat betting is down 17.5. So I'd have to say that the Paroli system did not work so well. This was a total of 326 hands. We did get up to 49 on the 7th shoe. This is fewer than we ran with the Martingale. This is also, I would say, not definitive. This bears further testing, but I wanted to run a bunch and then let's have a summary. Let's see where we are at. Okay, is it possible that you get lots of good shoes and like this? It is also possible, if you've played enough, you can have lots of bad shoes in a row. And look, even here we have 4 winning shoes versus 3 winning shoes, and 3 winning shoes versus 4, and still the Paroli did not beat flat betting, nor could it be positive overall. Now again, Paroli's not exactly designed or intended for blackjack, but testing it out anyways. And maybe this is why. Maybe if I had changed the way I pressed double down bets, it would work better. But that's how I chose to do it. And again, like I said, those same well, I guess not. The flat better would keep his winnings on double downs, but he still couldn't go positive. They say that Paroli might be better. Is a positive progressive betting system might be better to use if your starting bankroll is small, meaning that you can't afford to finance something like the Martingale, which can require a significant bankroll before you can start seeing payouts. What else do we have to say about this? I don't think I would use Paroli. I don't like the notion of winning, betting, winning, pressing, losing. That choppy action of back and forth. Of course, it's not any better than, bet, lose, bet, lose. But personally, I don't like it. Even though I generally do use a positive progressive system when I play, I don't use Paroli, and that's exactly why, because you need to win. Needing to win 4 in a row, you could, or 3 in a row, you can do it, but much more likely that you just win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, or just lose, 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 win, lose, lose, lose. So it did win. It could win. When it would win bigger. When it would lose, it would really, you see it there. It would actually, nope, I was looking at the wrong numbers. When it would win, it would win better, except for here. But when it would lose by considerably more. And I think that's a problem. And you know, Martingale does that too. When you lose at Martingale, it's catastrophic. So, anyways, moving on to the next test. Stay tuned, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.